Yo guys, back with another episode of how to make an inventory system in Unity 5. In the last episode, we made the inventory system, we built it out. Now it looks pretty good. We added a scroll bar here so we can scroll through the slots. But we're going to fix something that we did in the last episode. I told you that for the player view that we should name them all consecutive 1 through 4 because it'll be easy in the code. But it won't be easier to read, and we're really going for readability in code. It's better to read than for you not to know what it is that you're saying and have it a lot less. So compact code is not as good as readable code. I mean, it's good to have compact code because of how fast your system can run, but readability is more important because if you don't know what it's saying, you won't know how to fix certain bugs. If you don't know what you're doing, then you won't know how to fix it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just rename these 1 through 4 because sometimes you might say piece slot 1, that might be the helmet, but then if you look in the scene, oh wait, it's the boots. So I should just name that boots because if I do piece slot 1 and I think it's helmet, I might put boots in the helmet slot. So that's what I'm going for. We're just gonna rename these all back to what they should be. So legs, chest plate, chest plate, or just chest, and then we're gonna just do helmet. All right. So that's out of the way. Now we're gonna actually. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mess around with the colors. So I told you I was gonna do that, but I forgot to. It's okay, I'll do it right now. So in the player view, we're just gonna first off, what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the image for all the slots to a sharper image. So go to slots. I'm just gonna go down here, control, click all of these, and that should be good. So we all have background. Now we're gonna just change it to input field background. It's a little sharper. You'll notice there's like a brighter. They're brighter. There we go. It's actually a little sharper too. So that's what I used in my last project, and I want to use it in this one because it looks really nice. Sorry about that. I bumped the mic. Okay. So now we can mess around with the colors. First off, we're gonna go to inventory. We're gonna actually make this all the way transparent, so we don't need to see this. And then we're gonna go to camera, and we're gonna bump up this color to something like maybe like this, and that's pretty good. I like that. So now we can go to slot mask. Actually, the slot mask should be no. So we're gonna make the transparency about 120. That'll make it a little bit easier to see. And then we're going to go to slots, down to slot 0 through 41. And we're going to change this all around. So it's going to be like a darker color. And it's going to be sharper. Then we're going to go bring up the... There we go. Something like this. That looks good. I like that. It's like indentation. It looks like you're actually putting an item into a slot. So that's good. Now we're going to go to the hotbar and the player view. Both of these are going to be a lighter color because they're outside of the white background here, right here. So slot 1, shift click, and now change this color around. So this I can just basically increase the brightness, maybe a little less on the transparency. Okay, if I lower this, looks like a slot. So maybe I'll keep this at like 218, and then I'll raise this up a little bit. That's pretty good right there. So now I can change this, the hotbar. Actually, first the slot mask. I actually might add a little more, a little more brightness to it. Maybe like 150. Go for something like that. Now we can go to the slot bar. And again, you can keep the color you had before, or the color we had before. You can keep that color if you're using it. You can keep it. Again, it's all customizable, so whatever color you like, you can have that. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It really doesn't matter. So keep that 100%. Raise this a little bit. Actually, lower that a little bit. Go to the handle color, and that's pretty good. Maybe a little brighter on this, or a little darker. No, actually a little brighter. Yeah, that's good. I like it. So now we can just play it and see what it looks like in play mode. Yeah, I like it. It's a little more like detailed. You can see the indentation almost of the slots. So I like that. Sorry about that. Okay, and now we're gonna go into the coding of it. So all the bugs I showed in the last episode, where you play it, you can, when you drag and you go up, it'll like, you can't go back to where you were. It's like a little finicky right here. Like you can't like go down, because when you go up, it doesn't like, and when you scroll, it won't do anything, because you're actually picking up the scroll rect here. So also when you drop an item into the hotbar, it goes to the inventory. So we can actually fix that bug right here. Very simple. We just go to hotbar, grab all these slots, go down to where it says box collider into the Z direction, and just up that by like 2. I mean, even 1 would do it, but I just like to have a little extra padding. So we can play it, pick up the item, drop it in here, and you'll notice it's not going back into the slot. There we go. Let's see if I can put it into one of these slots. Here, I'll put it in here, scroll down, drop it in there. See? Goes behind. Alright, and now we're going to show you what happens when you add another item. So go down to prefabs and duplicate this item. We're actually going to rename this item to copper ingot. So copper ingots. Click enter, remember that. And then we'll rename this one to iron ingot. There we go. And change the image to an iron ingot. There we go. So now in prefabs, we can just drag this. Actually, first open up the slot mask. There we go. And just drop it into any of the slots. Maybe like number. Oh, having some troubles here. There we go. Finally. So now if we play, let's see what happens. So we can pick up the copper. We can't drop it into the iron. We can't pick up the iron. So why is that? It's because whenever we make a new object, actually whenever we put another item into the scene, we still have to add the inventory and the inventory controller. It won't automatically add those. So we'll get this error. It cannot find the object of instance of object or whatever like that. And the copper has it. So we actually don't need to manually do that, because that's going to be a pain if we actually have to do that for each individual item. So what we'll do is we'll go into code, we'll go into item. First off, actually, we're going to resize this because someone in the comments said it's too hard to see. Hopefully you can see right now. Hopefully that's big enough for you. Sorry about that, by the way. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll make the public transform inventory. We'll just delete that. We actually don't need that at all. And then we'll make this public into a private. Ooh, what did I do there? Okay. That was a little weird there. So then now we'll just alt and up arrow to move that around. So now we can create a void start. So this is a function that gets called the in the beginning of the game. Once the game gets started, once it starts, this gets called. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna say inventory, make sure it's lowercase, inventory controller equals game object, uppercase, that find object of type inventory controller with an uppercase I, and then parentheses and semicolon. So this in the beginning should find the inventory controller no problem. So we'll just save that and go back into Unity, see what happens. So we hit play and we can pick up the objects. Look at that. So we can pick them all around. So if you notice, it gets, the second we go over another object, here I'll do that again. So the second we go over another object, it will swap the objects. So what's it doing there? What it's doing is it's in the inventory controller, right on the on mouse button down. We set the current item that we're picking up, set the collider to false, so we can actually see the slots behind it. But what that's doing is it's making it so that we automatically pick up any other object, any other item that's in the inventory. Their collider doesn't turn off because we're only setting the selected item the selected item collider off. So how do we set all the colliders off? So for that we need to add a function. So right down here on line 30, we'll just do this. So void selected item grabbed, and then we'll add a boolean, so bool I. So that's gonna tell us whether or not it's true or not, whether or not the colliders are on or off. So in here we're gonna do this. We're gonna put in a for each loop. So for each what? For each game object item in game object, make sure it's capital, that find objects with tag, make sure it's objects, not object, so objects with tag, and then tag what? Tag item. So we actually haven't created the tag yet, so what we need to do that is, here first I'll add the brackets. So okay, so to do that we need to go into Unity, go into the prefab or into the item. So you should go into the prefab though, because that does it for all. So into the prefab, go to tagged right under the name, and instead of any of these, there's no item, so we need to add a tag. Click plus and just type in item. Click enter, and that's good. So we need to go back into the copy ingot and tag it to item. Same with the iron. Make sure you do that for both. And now we can go back into the code. Now that we got the tag, we can go down here and type in item, which is what this game object is getting set to. So this is a variable that gets created, and the game objects that have tag item get stored into this game object. So we can just call this, and it's basically just like calling all the game objects that have that tag. So game object dot get component collider, and and set it to false. So dot enabled equals, actually don't set it to false, set it to I. That's why we made this boolean right here. So we'll just set say that select that item that grabbed false, and then that's basically calling this, and then that's saying that this equals false. So we'll do that actually right now. So select we'll just remove this, and we'll say selected item grabbed false. Make sure you have the semicolon, and we'll do the same thing down here. Let's grab this, say selected item grabbed, and this time equals true, and don't forget the semicolon. So this should be what we need. So now whenever we pick up the item, it will disable the colliders for both this item and this item, and all the other items we add in the future. So we can go down to the iron ingot, and then we'll hit play. So you can see the box collider. We're gonna pick up the copper ingot, and it'll still disable this box collider. So pick this up. Okay, so and didn't disable it. Why is that? Okay, so these I just noticed. These are still untagged. We need to retag these. For some reason, it didn't save. Maybe I forgot to save it. There we go. Okay, so now let's see. It should work this time. That's weird that it didn't do that. So because we're on the copper, we'll just pick up the iron. There we go. See? And now if we hover over it, it's not gonna pick up the item. But when we drop it, it drops it in the same slot. So it doesn't care whether or not this is in the same slot or not. So we need to make it so it does care. So it can't be the same slot unless it's the same exact item. Then we'll have a stack and say like 2 of the same item. But for now, we don't have stacking. We'll do that in a future episode. For now, we're just gonna actually do this. We're just gonna go down to if selected slot equals null. Then we're gonna do this. If the original slot dot child count equals less than 1. So if there is no child, then we'll set the selected item to, let's select that parent to the original slot. There we go. Else we're gonna do this. So down here we're just gonna do if the selected slot dot child count is greater it's greater than 0. So if there if there is a child, we're gonna do the selected slot dot get child selected slot dot get child number 0. So number 0 would be the first child, because C# goes from the C# arrays go from 0 start at 0. So 0 is the original child, or 0 is the only child that there is. If there was 2 childs, then number 1 would be number 2, the second child. It's confusing, but you get used to it. So get child dot set parent to the original slot. For now, we're gonna set it to original slot, but later we're gonna actually make it sort slot, so it actually sorts the item. You'll see why in a little bit. So, make sure to have that semicolon, and then we do the selected or original slot dot get child number 0, not number P, that a local position equals vector 3 dot 0. Okay, and then we have to do what we have to do now is the whole reason we're doing this. So all we have to do right now is we just take this, copy this, paste that, select that item that set parent, selected slot. So now this should work. Should be all good. We should see the same. Actually, we should see that when we drop the item, it will put the item in the position that this one was in before. It will set it to its original slot. So what we'll do in the next episode is create a sort slot, so that for each individual, for the inventory, for the hotbar, for the player view, we'll have a sort slot. I don't know if we're going to do it for player view, because we don't really need any sorting slots, because this is only going to be helmet, chest plate, legs, and the legs can't go in the helmet slot. So yeah, there's no need for a sort slot here, but from here we can sort it. So we're gonna have a sort slot, and for each individual thing. So when we grab an item and we drop it on the item, it'll go to the first slot that's available. So that could be at the end of the list. It could be if there's like an item here. If I'll reset this. So if there's an item right here and there's an item right here, and we grab an item right here and drop it right here, this item that was here will go to this slot because there's two items here. It can't go in either. It'll go to this slot. So I'll show you that in the next episode. Peace out.